Okay, we're back over here in Rabbi Tatz's book about free will, and we began speaking last time about a very somewhat cryptic midrash that we quoted, and the midrash says over there that from the beginning of creation, Hashem foresaw the deeds of the righteous and of the wicked, and also another opinion over there is that he saw from the beginning of creation the building of the Beis HaMikdash, the destruction, the building, the destruction, and the ultimate rebuilding of the third Beis HaMikdash, which will last eternally forever. So the Yafei Toyar, who's one of the big commentaries on the Midrash, points out over there that once you have a Midrash that says so clearly that from the very beginning of time HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw everything that's going to happen, then you know that there's something called Hashem's foreknowledge. You don't have to come along and say that Hashem doesn't really know, He didn't really see, He's not fully aware, He kind of like, he can, Hashem knows everything. And as we see, it didn't stop Him from creating mankind. It doesn't stop Him from giving people the situations in their life. It doesn't stop Him from putting them in places where they're going to be forced to make decisions. Even though that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows everything already from the beginning of creation. Day number one, He's already looking into thousands of years of history in front of His eyes. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fully aware of it, and it doesn't take away from the fact that Hashem knows everything, and man still has free will, as we've been saying this entire time. So the Yafei Torah wants to explain a few things over here, and that is like this. Meaning, number one, one of the reasons that the Midrash teaches us this, like, such a powerful statement, that from the very beginning HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew everything's going to happen, is because the Midrash is teaching us that you should distance yourself from this idea, which he would call, what we call in Yiddish, krum, which is not a really Torah-based idea, and that is that Hashem doesn't see the future in the area of human free choice. Don't think that Hashem doesn't know what you're going to do. Because the Midrash is telling us Hashem knows exactly what you're going to do. You have free will? We'll deal with that. You have free will. But if you say that Hashem doesn't know what you're going to do, you run back in the old problem of the Rambam, which is, well, that Hashem's not all-powerful. He's not all-knowing. He doesn't have mastery of the world. It has to be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what you are going to do even before you are going to do it. Otherwise, Hashem he is not perfect in his knowledge, in his wisdom, in his foresight. So says the Yafei Toyar, you see from this midrash clearly that obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu does know everything, and as we've been explaining the entire time, it doesn't mean that it comes to limit your free will. He says that a possible reason for the temptation that a person would have to believe that Hashem doesn't really see everything is that, as he points out, that since the tzaddikim, the righteous, and the rishoyim, and the wicked, are both sustained by Hashem, one might be led to think that Hashem sustains them only because He doesn't know who's going to become righteous and who's going to become wicked. Since that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sustaining everybody in this world, so maybe the reason that He's sustaining everybody at all times is because He doesn't know what the ultimate outcome of every single person is going to be. So even though maybe right now you're not the best guy in the world, but maybe you'll become a bigger tzaddik. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is banking on the fact maybe you'll become more righteous. And the guy that's a rasha, that he's wicked right now, well, maybe he'll do tshuva. Maybe he'll turn his life around and let him do the right thing. See, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew everything in advance, that this guy is going to come to be, let's say this, as a child, he knows already, he knew Hitler when he was a baby is going to become the most wicked man in the world. He knew that. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that already, so then why would He sustain and support the evil in this world to begin with? Hashem, you want what's best for the Jewish people, don't you? You made a world where you look back on creation, it's toiv ma'od, it's very good, which means the creation is perfect. You want us to have a good life, don't you? So you know that this person that was born to his parents, whose name is Adolf Hitler, you know that he's going to grow up and he's going to become a very wicked person. You know that, don't you, Hashem? Because you know everything. So then why are you giving this guy life? Why are you sustaining his every breath and his existence? Why didn't you make some kind of mishap when he was 3 years old that his mother ran out of the room while she had him in the bath and he would drown in the bath? Why did you let this guy live? Maybe it means that God doesn't really know what the future is going to bring. He doesn't really know that Adolf Hitler is going to grow up to become the biggest Russia, the most wicked person in thousands of years of time. He doesn't know that. Says the Yafei Tayar, that's why this Midrash comes along and says it's not true. In the very beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked out and he saw who will be righteous and who will be wicked. He knew that. And nevertheless, he still sustains them and he gives them life because everybody has some kind of a purpose that's here in this world. And you are still going to be responsible for your actions. What you're going to decide to do with this destiny that seems to have been created already from the beginning, that's going to be up to you. Now, therefore, so Rabbi Avo writes over here, the Torah makes it known in this Midrash that despite the question of how could it be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sustaining everybody, if he knows, nevertheless Hashem knows in fact in advance all that's going to occur later, and despite that, he sustains those who will choose to act against him. He knows there'll be an Adolf Hitler. He knows there's going to be people that are going to try to fight against him. He knows there's going to be a Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was the craziest thing. The world was destroyed not so long before. The Mabul, the flood came to the world, and Hashem showed, I'm very disappointed with my creation. And therefore, don't do this again. Next thing you know, they're building a tower that's going to go up to the heavens with swords. They're going to fight against God. You can't fight against God in the heavens. And Hashem knew that's going to happen. And nevertheless, he allowed the people that were in the world to use their free will to get there. How could it be? Hashem knows, and we still have free will? Well, that's the Rambam says. You think you could understand? Your mind can't understand Hashem. You can't understand his mind. You can't understand how he set up the world running in different ways. You can't. But we do know that Hashem wants free will. And he made man to be a creature of free will. So therefore, as far as you know, and as far as you live, everything that you do, you are the steps that you are taking are the decisions that you are making. It's you. You know, we just had this amazing bar mitzvah this past Shabbos. So, like every person in the past of this bar mitzvah boy, grandparents, great-grandparents, and the like, great-grandparents, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, you know, they all made like big decisions at some point in their life that allowed for this bar mitzvah boy to be in the position that he's in today. And had they not made those decisions at crucial moments in their life, we would not have had a bar mitzvah like we had on this Shabbos. And a few of those choices were. So there was the great-grandfather from the mother's, the great-grandfather from the bar mitzvah, Ezi. Ezi's great-grandfather from his mother's side. That means I'm sorry. From the lichman, I don't know how you word the paternal, maternal, however it's going to be. His father's grandfather from the mother's side. If that makes any sense, right? His father's maternal grandfather. I think that's how you would say. It sounds like Yavamas over here. I think that's how it would sound. Okay, so what happened? He was an American Jew in the early 1900s or in whatever 1930s, and it was not easy to be a Shomer Shabbos. It was not easy to be a Shabbos observant Jew in those years, because when you got a job, they expect you to work 7 days a week. And if you got a job working in a factory, you got a job working in a store, they said, we'll see you tomorrow. And when you left on Friday, you had a choice. Either I'm going to break Shabbos and I'm going to come to work tomorrow because I have to make money and support my family, or I'm going to keep the Sabbath. And if I keep the Sabbath, I know I don't have a job coming in on Sunday or Monday morning. Job is gone. And so this man, I don't know what his name was, but the great-grandfather lost job after job after job after job. Because they said, we'll see you tomorrow on Saturday. And he said, I'm a Sabbath observant Jew. You're not going to see me. He said, you're not coming tomorrow? Don't bother coming back next week. You don't have a job anymore. And he lost his job, whatever it was, every week. Whatever pay he would get, that's what he would come home with. Until finally he found a way to employ himself, where he only had to work 6 days a week, and he was able to survive and live the Sabbath observant life that he wanted to. As a result of that, they raised a daughter who kept Shabbos. She married a man who kept Shabbos. They had children who kept Shabbos, and they have a grandson, Ezra Baruch, who keeps Shabbos and did an outstanding job. He had a decision. Either I could go with the flow and the trend that was happening in America during that time. You throw Shabbos out the window in order to make a living, or I'll keep Shabbos. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. And you'll find a way, and you make it work. He had a grandmother, a great-grandmother, who was in Auschwitz. Many people did not survive Auschwitz. Of course, she had miracle after miracle after miracle. But at some point, you have to imagine that while she was there in Auschwitz, she either had to decide, either I'm going to live or I'm going to die. Either I'm going to stay positive or I'm going to be negative. Either I'm going to have hope or I'm going to be hopeless. And so she worked and worked and worked, and she managed miraculously to survive, and she remained religious after the war, which was another decision that many people had to make. They saw the greatest Gehenna, the biggest tragedies and atrocities in their life. Many people after the war, again, we don't hold anything against them. Nobody can understand what they went through. But many people after the war, they said, if that's the God of the Jewish people, I want nothing to do with him. But she walked out of the war and she said, I love Hashem. It was painful. It was difficult. I lost family. I lost everything. But I'm still alive. And if God kept me alive, he must want something from me. And she went on and she raised her family. And then they raised their family, and now they're raising the next generation. And here's the boy that lay and did such an amazing job on Shabbos. So Hashem knows what people are going to do. He's fully aware, because he sees from the beginning of time, he sees everything. But we have no idea. We don't know the situations we're going to be put into. We don't know the decisions we're going to have to make. We don't know how we're going to go in that direction or that direction. And therefore, everything that we are doing is up to us. And that's why he writes over here, really, yes.
Hashem created the world because he was alone, he was lonely,
Hashem's not lonely. No, he's not. Hashem,
he wants
Hashem,
to share with, to give to.
Hashem, he wants to share. He has so much goodness. He has so much goodness. The definition of good is that it has to be shared. If I have good and I keep it all to myself, so I'm a selfish person, and I care only about my own self and my own goodness and my own wealth and my own life. It only becomes good if you offer it to somebody else and you share it with somebody else and you give it to somebody else. So Hashem, who is the source of all good, he is the greatest Baal Chesed, the greatest being and entity of kindness and giving and taking care of. So in order to be able to express that midah, that trait, in the best possible way, there has to be a world.
Midah and Gilgulim, and Hashem sees things, understands things that we don't understand. But he set things up, and if he knows what somebody's going to do, it's kind of like, I think he would take delight in seeing someone make the right decision. And
right, it's like when Hitler knew he had the choice. He knew he was going to do evil, but did he realize that Hashem knew how many Jews would die because they're allowing Hitler to stay alive? So it was all part of a plan that Hashem wanted to keep this
Again, it's important. I think it's important not to think like that.
No, I know.
No, because you'll drive yourself crazy. Because you'll never figure out what HaKadosh Baruch Hu really knows. You'll never figure out exactly, and that's the premise of the Rambam from the beginning. you could never figure it out. You could never understand. Because there's Hashem's mind, which is way beyond where we're holding. So we can only deal with what we see in front of us. What we see in front of us is there's an all-powerful, all-knowing, almighty God, omniscient and omnipotent in everything, which means He must know everything. If He doesn't know everything, then He's not all-powerful and He's not all-knowing. So He must know everything. At the same time, it's very clear throughout the Torah and Tanakh and all the prophets and the like, it's very clear that man has responsibility to his actions, and we're held accountable for the things that we do right and what we do wrong. So that means I must have free will. The Torah is based on free will. So on one hand, God's all-knowing, all-powerful. On the other hand, I'm powerful because I have free will. How does it work? We understand. We can't understand. So to go into the world of, well, God knew that Hitler's going to do this, and He knew that he's going to kill, and He knew that Hashem knows everything. Why? That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world. Why He did it like this? It's kind of a little bit like the next thing He's about to say over here. Because the next part of the Midrash said, Hashem saw the building of the Beis HaMikdash and the destruction. And He saw the rebuilding, and He saw the destruction. And He saw the rebuilding, once again, the third one that's going to live eternally. So He says, the reason the Midrash tells us this is because one might speculate that Hashem does not know history in advance, because if He would have known history in advance, why would He instruct us to do things where our efforts turn out to be futile? Why would He say, build a Beis HaMikdash that I know is going to get destroyed? Come back to the land of Israel and build another Beis HaMikdash if I know it's going to get destroyed. Why, God, He's like he's sadistic? He just wants us to go along and do all these things that at the end of the day don't even measure up to anything because it doesn't work out anyway. So the reason is we're commanded to build the Beis HaMikdash, but the course of history appears to show the construction is going to be futile because the temple will be destroyed. So people will begin to think, oh, well, maybe Hashem didn't really know what's going to happen. Build the temple so it should be destroyed? Why would Hashem want such a thing? So says the Gemara, says the Midrash, Rabbi Rabbi is coming to teach us that no, even though that the ultimate goal that Hashem wants is there's going to be a third Beis HaMikdash, which will be an eternal building that will never be destroyed. There are stages in life and in history and in what it means, the formation and the building and the growing of the Jewish people. We have to go through all of these things. It's part and parcel of our existence, of our national and our Jewish identity. And even though that not everything is going to work out the way that we would like it to work out, and not all of our actions are going to be successful and we're not always going to achieve, anybody who's in business knows you probably had 100 or 1,000 ideas that you did that you thought are going to work out and they don't work out. But 1 or 2 or 3 does work out. And it turns out to be that's your success in that area. But if you would not have done all the failures, you never would have got to the success. I think that they say that Thomas Edison tried creating the light bulb like 862 times before he actually got it to work.
10,000.
10,000? Whatever, some enormous number. We'll Google it afterwards. Yeah? An enormous number. So he must have been frustrated. In his mind, he saw light. In his mind, he saw a light bulb. In his mind, he said, at nighttime when it's dark outside, instead of having to light a candle, I'll be able to have an electric light bulb that's going to be there to illuminate the darkest of nights. And he thought that he had all the moving parts. And he failed and failed and failed. But it wasn't failure. It was just a step in the process of achieving and getting to the ultimate goal. Had he not failed 1,000 times, he never would have succeeded. So the same thing is over here. Hashem knows what the end result is going to be. And there's an ultimate goal, which is the world will come to fruition. There's going to be a Mashiach. The base of Mashiach will be rebuilt. And everything's going to be perfect. But it takes a lot of failures and ups and downs and successes and achievements and disappointments along the way to get us to the ultimate goal that we want to be at. And therefore, that's what it says over here.
So by the time we're retired and inspired, we realize that every experience that we have in life is to either be enjoyed and or learned from. And whether it's Thomas Edison or whether it's destroy, build, destroy, whether it's in business, whether it's in the Beis HaMikdash. So if history is moving in a certain direction like that, Hashem clearly is above time and space.
Correct.
You can see past, present, future.
Correct.
But we have that choice as to how we're going to fit into, and He can take delight in how we make the right choice that He's instructed us to make on the path of life. And there's Mida Keneged Mida, so there's going to be results if we do one thing or the other, and it's going to show up in generations like Izzy.
Correct.
Where am I going with this? I don't know.
The building of the Beis HaMikdash, even though God knows it's going to be destroyed, at the time of its building, those people earned it and deserved it for, I don't know, 7
Correct.
years or something?
Correct.
So why would you deprive the people who earned it and...
Exactly. And that's what we're saying.
And then it was free
Right,
will
meaning-
to people who
right.
decided to discard...
Meaning there was a purpose and there was a benefit at that time.
Right.
And that's what we're saying. That just because things don't work out, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that as you're going through the steps, that at that time there's a very valuable purpose of why it's happening the way that it is. So the building of the Beis HaMikdash and the success, the building of it, and the serving of Hashem over there, and all the miracles, everything that was going on, that was all for that time. It gets destroyed. That's also part of our history, and rebuilt. And now we're lying in ruins for 2,000 years. Eventually, we're going to get there.
Well, it was destroyed because apparently we didn't deserve it anymore.
Correct.
Okay.
We forfeited. We forfeited a home for Hashem in this world.
It's not like I built the temple and it fell. I built the temple and it fell. It had a purpose for a while.
Exactly.
It was earned.
Exactly. So I just end off with this idea. He says that's why the Midrash says that mitchilasa shall brias ha'olam, from the beginning of the creation, which means that from the very beginning of creation, before a single event has unfolded. Remember, the beginning of creation, there's no man. There's no mankind. No one's doing anything in this world. From the beginning of creation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already saw into the future exactly what is going to be, exactly how things are going to unfold, before any events were there. And therefore, this point is to show us that Hashem does not know things because He sees the process developing and reads them from without and thereby predicts what will be. It's not like that. Hashem's not watching, it's not like a mystery book where you're trying to figure out every chapter, what's going to happen next. And then at the very end, it's the thing that you never expected would happen ends up happening. Or you say, I knew that's going to happen. It's not like that. From the beginning of creation, Hashem saw what's going to be in 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 2,000. He saw this room. In the beginning of creation, He knew that in 2024, there's going to be some retired gentlemen that are sitting around and learning Torah together.
Well, you could say He saw it before the beginning of creation.
No, but that's what his point is. That the beginning of creation is the time and the space that we live in. That's our world. And therefore, everything that's happening in our world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows about already from the beginning. This is the world that we exist in, so we are still granted the gift of BECHIRA. And that's why it says at the beginning of the creation, before there's any process to be read, His knowledge is in place and complete. And that means that Hashem is all-knowing, almighty, all-powerful, and yet we still have, in that world, in that space where Hashem has everything, we still also have all the power to be able to make the decisions that we want to make in our lives. Okay, to be continued still.
Don't we see his story as